And it's Ken Kretzer for Cammvetsmedia. It's Thanksgiving Day and a chance to chat a little bit about veterans and how people in the military are serving today. And glad to have with me Richard Miller, a colleague from West Palm Beach, Florida, and a producer of our Monday night West Point football huddle. Richard, how are you?
Very well, Ken. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And we've had kind of a tradition in our 13 years of doing military and veterans coverage to do a talk on Thanksgiving morning, recognizing the service of veterans and those in the military serving today. And I was struck by one of our friends, Matthew Strope, a Navy public affairs officer, is out on the USS George Bush, serving with a number of NATO ships in off of Europe. Not even exactly sure where they are, but they're somewhere off of Europe, making their presence known. And a couple of times we've had the chance to get calls from ships at sea through extraordinary work done by the Navy to help us tell the story. And we're hoping maybe we'd hear from Matthew Strope and his or one of his sailors or Marines, but I'll try and do that maybe before Christmas in December. And one time we had our friend, Command Master Chief, later Fleet Master Chief for Europe, Raymond Kemp, set up a call from his deployment on board the USS Harry Truman, and he gave us a little idea about what that day was like on the ship. And what was ironic and appreciative is that I heard later that a senior Pentagon official was there. I don't know if the Secretary of the Navy was there or the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs was there on visiting that ship. And when that happens, it's all hands on deck taking care of the distinguished visitor. But he still found the time to spend a few minutes calling us on our WVOX platform and tell us a little bit about what it's like to work with, in his case, about 3,000 to 4,000 listed sailors, chief petty officers, NCOs, and the officers and a flight crew, which is another 1,000 members on the ship, being away from home on a major holiday, on a major family holiday. And he talked a little bit about it. They always have a nice meal, especially resources on a ship are a little better than maybe some other places. But Richard, one of the traditions that we found in the military on Thanksgiving Day is that the commanding officer of whatever ship or base the military are at, the enlisted sailors, soldiers, Marines, airmen are at, Coast Guard members, the commanding officer will come down to help serve the buffet. Whatever they try to have a nice buffet wherever they're at, and more times than not, it's a pretty good buffet, for what people tell me, and have the commanding officer and the senior staff of the base there serving the meal for their younger military members, for whom many of them it's their first time away from home on a major holiday. So it's one of those traditions we've kind of learned about in the military on Thanksgiving. So now, what is the tradition for your household, or Richard? You having a turkey, having something else going out, or what?
I'm going out to Duffy's with my father.
Okay, very good.
I'm going out to Duffy's. I'm sure they have good turkey, good food. Oh, it's gonna be awesome.
Okay, well, that's terrific. And we'll be going up to my brother-in-law's house up in across the Hudson River in Pearl River, and we're so blessed. Carrie's dad can make it. He's 92 years old. retired from the New York Fire Department,
Mm.
and spend the day with my brother-in-law Joe and his wife Maureen, wonderful hosts. So we're going to try and play a couple of things for you today. We are getting set for some Army football. I will be up in Massachusetts at the game on Saturday, and we have a couple of things I'd like to see if we can play for you, and one of which is we had on our show just the other day, and that is a talk on Thanksgiving by two of our colleagues, Sam Houston and Steve Chalout. And I want to see if we can play that for you today. We'll test my Zoom skills. And yeah, that should be right there. And participants. Okay, I'm not sure we're going to be able to get it to work today. And okay. Well, I think we're going to have to limit it this. I know, Richard, you've been getting set on some of the activity this weekend. What are the games today that you're going to be watching when you get back from Duffy's?
Let's see. Some of the games I will be watching. I'll be watching today, as far as college football goes. Let's see. College football scores for today. Number 20, Ole Miss is taking on Mississippi State. Mississippi State is 7-4. Well, number 20, Ole Miss is 7-3. That's absolutely the only game I see on here. There can be a ton of games on Black Friday. Number 23, the Texas Longhorns 7-4, taking on Baylor 6-5. Central Michigan and Eastern Michigan, 12 o'clock noon. Both Eastern Michigan 7-4, Central Michigan 4-7. Tulane number 19, 9-2, facing on Cincinnati. Both teams are 9-2 on the season. As of course, this is a rivalry weekend in college football. Some of the games also. Number 16, Florida State 8-3, taking on Florida 6-5. That's a 7:30 game. Army is taking on UMass this Saturday. 4-6 Army, and UMass is 1-10. That is an ESPN plus game.
Yeah, we will be up there. We'll have some pregame on our Facebook page, West Point Football Report, and also you can follow some of our reports during the game on Twitter at KG Kraetzer Media. Looking forward to it. The game, Army is favored, but they're not taking anything for granted. UMass just came back from playing Texas A&M very tough in South Texas, and they are as they've been losing games to some very good teams, but they've been getting better under new coach Don Brown. And it's kind of an interesting story, Richard. Don Brown was the defensive coordinator at the University of Michigan when Army went out there and played in 2019 and took Michigan into overtime. And also on the staff that year was the Army defensive coordinator, Nate Woody, who took a year to participate in the defense. He was a quality control consultant on defense for Michigan. So he got a chance to see how they operated in the Big Ten. Now with Don Brown, who had coached Michigan before, coach Massachusetts before, coming back, it's interesting because Nate Woody knows him very well. He also knows some of the other staff members. So it's an interesting matchup. I think for Army, it's as we talked to Connor Bishop on Tuesday night, and he said the best way for them to prepare for Navy is to beat Massachusetts and play well on Saturday. So we talked about the game on our show. Army's going to look to pound the ball running and maybe pass. I think you may see some multiple quarterbacks in with Tyler starting, but I think you're going to see Jamil Jones, maybe even Cade Ballard, and also the sophomore Bryson Daly, who is considered the #1 candidate to be the starting quarterback for Army next year when Army graduates 3 quarterbacks after this season. Army also has got a couple of players hurt. We're not going to see Terrell Robinson, and Ajan Marshall is also has an injury. He's a game time decision. And we'll see. Markel Broughton got back and played very well against UConn after being out, and had 12 tackles in the game. So I think it's a game for Army to get better on defense, as they've been improving all season, especially the last several games, and for the offense to stay sharp to play what's going to be a tough all-out battle against Navy in 2 weeks in Philadelphia. So Richard, go down some more of the games on Saturday.
Okay, so some more of the games on Saturday. Number 8, Clemson will be taking on South Carolina. Clemson is 10-1, while South Carolina is 7-4. Maryland is taking on Rutgers. Rutgers is 4-7. Maryland is 6-4. West Virginia 4-7, taking on Oklahoma State, also 4-7. Games of also actually important notice this weekend are also the Michigan-Ohio State game. Both teams are 11-0. Michigan is number 3, and Ohio State is number 2 in the college football playoff. Who's the number 1 team? The Georgia Bulldogs. They will be taking on Georgia Tech at exactly the same time, 12 o'clock noon. Also, we've got Old Dominion taking on South Alabama. South Alabama is 9-2, while Old Dominion is 3-8. You've got also Western Kentucky 7-5, taking on FAU 5-6. West Virginia taking on Oklahoma State. West Virginia is 4-7, and Oklahoma State 7-4. East Carolina is taking on Temple. East Carolina 6-5, while Temple's 3-8. Kent State taking on Buffalo. Buffalo's 5-5. Kent State is 4-7. Northern Illinois 3-8, taking on Argonne 1-9. North Texas is taking on Rice. Rice is 5-6. North Texas is 6-5. The Iron Bowl, Auburn, Alabama, will be Saturday at 3:30. Number 7, Alabama is 9-2, while Auburn is 5-6. Number 25, Louisville is 7-4, taking on Kentucky 6-5, 3 o'clock. Hawaii 3-9, taking on San Jose State 6-4. Let's see. Oregon State. Number 9, Oregon is 9-2 now, while number 21, Oregon State is 8-3. Illinois is 7-4, taking on at Northwestern, which is 1-10 on the season. Minnesota and Wisconsin 3:30. Minnesota is 7-4, while Wisconsin is 6-5. Troy 9-2, taking on Arkansas State. Troy is 9-2, while Arkansas State is 3-8. Let's see. Number 11, Penn State 9-2, taking on Michigan State 5-6. UAB 5-6, taking on Louisiana Tech 3-8. UAB is 5-6. Let's see. Also, other games: Nevada 9-2, taking on UNLV 4-7. Number 15, Notre Dame 8-3, taking on Syracuse, which is 10-1 on the season. Number 10, Tennessee, taking on Vanderbilt. Tennessee is 9-2, while Vanderbilt is 5-6 on the season. Let's see. What are also other games? Virginia and Virginia Tech were canceled because of the
Terrible tragedy at Virginia University.
Absolutely awful. Yeah. What the Apple Cup? What number 13 Washington 9-2, taking on Washington State 7-4. Air Force 8-3, taking on San Diego State 7-4. Kansas 6-5, taking on Kansas State 8-3. Number 12. Oklahoma 6-5, taking on Texas 6-5. That's a 7:30 game.
Okay. Now, one of the other games that we're going to be following is Iona basketball, they will be playing at Las Vegas against Santa Clara on Saturday night, actually at midnight Eastern time, 9 o'clock there. And it's going to be one of those games for Iona, which is 2-1 on the season, to stand out. And they are, trying to play a national schedule in the preseason and the pre-conference season to increase their resume, as everybody talks about, improve their resume for NCAA tournament consideration at the end of the season. They hopefully will win the MAC. They are the favored team in the MAC, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, to win that this year. And but they want to improve their credentials to get her better seating in the tournament itself. And then also, if, like what happens last year, they lose in the tournament and don't get the automatic bid, that they have credentials for an at-large bid, which is very, very competitive to do. But this one of those games gives Iona a chance to stand out. They come home and they're going to play a game against the University of St. Louis right in New Rochelle. And that's another game where they can stand out. They're going to play St. Bonaventure day after the Army-Navy game down in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center. And so those are the opportunities Iona has to stand out under Coach Rick Pitino. They're going to be without their top scoring player, and that is Quinn Zielinski. Well, we're not sure. He's a game time decision. He did not play in the win over Vermont, but he's been Iona's real go-to player. He plays kind of what Coach Pitino described to me as point forward, which is more common in the Euro League, which Coach Pitino coached several years in Greece. But he's been a top scorer for Iona, averaging 18 points a game. And then they've got the junior point guard who joined the team this year, Dennis Jenkins, who's averaging 17 points a game, and Barrick Jean-Louis, who's played very well. Barrick, known as a defensive player, he's been improving his scoring, is averaging 15 points a game, where he would struggle to get to 10 points a game last year. But it looks like he's a product of doing those thousands of three-point shots in the gym at night to get sharp. And Ellie Jr. Joseph, the big power forward, 12.7 points a game. And he is leading the team with 8 rebounds per game. But Zielinski also has 7.5. Nelly Jr. Joseph, big player from Africa, junior. Everyone sees a lot of potential in him. And so he's another key asset to score inside for Iona. Walter Clayton is also averaging 10.7 points a game. So 5 Gale players averaging in double figures scoring. But what Coach Pitino will always talk about is, what is their defense? And, he was a little disappointed, probably more than a little disappointed in the effort at Hofstra, where they lost a close game. And Hofstra really dominated the outside shooting, making, I think it was 14 three-point shots in that game. So I'm sure they've been working on that. They obviously played better against Vermont, team they beat by 21, and a team that tends to dominate their conference. So we will see what Iona can do out in Las Vegas on Saturday night. It's a 12 midnight game. And you gonna stay up and watch that, Richard?
No, I will probably I'll probably be in bed. I'll probably be in bed sleeping during that.
Okay, well, I'll try and stay up because we'll see if there's a chance to talk to Coach Pitino after the game. It's going to be a doubleheader for me. I'll be up at University of Massachusetts for the 12 noon start for Army's game against Massachusetts, and then drive back and have some coffee and enjoy watching the Gales play in Las Vegas. And should be a really good game. With Santa Clara, they actually came in and played at Iona about 12 years ago. And when you were at the game, it doesn't seem so long ago, but it was the finals of one of the postseason tournaments that they play. It's like a 12-team tournament, and Iona and Santa Clara Iona under Coach Tim Cluse, I think it was his first year, took Iona to the finals of that. Santa Clara came in, and the gym was filled. It was a warm kind of mid-March day, and very electric atmosphere to play in a championship game. Wasn't the NCAA championship, but it was a tournament, and it was sort of nice to have a chance to play for a title. And Santa Clara won that day, but they saw the banner in the Heinz Center for that game, and I think it was a CIT. And Richard, you went to see Iona play, I think, in one of the tournaments against Florida. Well, you went to the NIT.
Yeah, last year with my father.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was good. Now I'm gonna see. I see if we can play the interview with from Monday night, and with and see if we've got that.
This is cool.
Okay, I'm glad we were able to get the technology to work and share comments of our friends Steve Chalout and just a second. I got it. I think we have. Okay, that's okay. And again, this is Ken Kretzer with Richard Miller on Cammvetsmedia on Thanksgiving morning 2022. And glad to hear from, as I said, our friends, colleagues, Steve Chalout and Sam Houston about their experiences on Thanksgiving serving in the military, and our best wishes and thoughts go out to those serving today on U.S. Navy ships, submarines, carriers, and the like, and U.S. Army serving around the world. Anytime the U.S. Army members are serving in over 100 countries, Marines too, Air Force, and Coast Guard, of course. In fact, I have to check on, we were at the commissioning of a U.S. Coast Guard cutter in New York in April, and that ship and crew are now in the Middle East serving, and I believe they're in Qatar, and I want to check on them because they're deployed. And one of the groups that we met the commanding officer and several of the NCOs and sailors from that ship when it was commissioned in New York City in April this year. And again, we said we will be up at the University of Massachusetts on Saturday, 12 noon start. Army will take on Massachusetts, a team that's been improving, struggling as an independent, but with new coach Don Brown coming out, a former coach there, they're going to give Army a tough game. And the odds makers are favoring Army, but I think it's going to be a challenge for them. And then later that night, our second team we follow closely, Iona basketball, will be playing in Las Vegas. It's a midnight start against Santa Clara, a team that has had a lot of success in the West Coast Conference and 3-2. They've been traveling a lot. I understand they played a tournament in the Bahamas, so they went all the way east, and then came back, had a home game, and now we're in Las Vegas. So a lot of traveling for college basketball teams this year. So what games are you going to watch this weekend, Richard?
As far as college football goes,
College football, college basketball, anything in our must watches for you? Obviously, you're going to watch Army on Saturday.
yes, I'm going to watch Army. Also, of course, I'm going to be watching the Michigan Ohio State game, and also the Georgia Tech game. Rivalry weekend, it's nothing better. I mean, games of games of importance, like what's going on with the games, like especially the top four that happened in the college football playoff. I'm gonna be flipping back and forth now that I've got this new system like Fubo TV. It's more easy for me to translate from one game to the next.
Wow, you're going to be watching it all.
Yeah,
and
also watch ESPN.
Okay, well, Richard, we will be back on Monday night with a wrap up of the Army UMass game, and then it's that time of year. It's the Navy game, one of the biggest rivals in all of sports between U.S. Naval Academy, U.S. Military Academy. They've been doing it for over 100 years. The Army started playing football when they got a challenge from the Naval Academy to play, and Mikey did answered the challenge and said, "Yeah, we'll play you guys." And they've been playing just about every year since. Few interruptions, And I still think that the 2020 game at Mikey Stadium was really so iconic. I mean, maybe because we follow Army and they won the game, but it still was one of those special days 2 years ago when, the only people who could attend the game due to COVID were those in the military and the cadets from West Point, and they bussed up the 4,000 midshipmen from Annapolis, the only time in history they've ever done that. And they were sitting in the upper deck on our side, and we were talking to some of the midshipmen. They just finished exams, and they were looking forward to heading home the next day when they got dismissed for their Christmas holiday break. And it was just a dogfight that went down to the last moment of the game, and Army came out ahead. And then they took care of business against Air Force the following week at Mikey Stadium to win the Commander-in-Chief Trophy. Well, it's new year, new time, and Navy won last year. Army's been thinking about that all winter, although they did have the great consolation of winning the bowl game against Missouri. This year, I don't think Army's going to have a chance. The record, they just needed one more win to have a good chance at a bowl game. They were slated to play in the Independence Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana. They could get to 6 wins, 5 of which it would be against a football bowl championship contenders. So we're gonna have fun up at UMass. Richard, you're gonna get out. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Ken.
Appreciate that, and really our best wishes to all the military families there, especially those who have someone serving overseas today, and our best wishes to all U.S. military serving on the front line so we can enjoy life here in America. So this is Ken Kretzer with our colleague Richard Miller for Cammvetsmedia. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We are proudly covering cadets, midshipmen, the military, and veterans since 2008. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching.